Today on Morning Meditations, I'm going to look at the story of Elijah and ask, is it ever okay for Christians to use mockery? This is Morning Meditations with me, Pastor Ryan Hayden of Bible Baptist Church. To hear more or find out more about our church, visit BibleBaptistMattoon.org. In 1 Kings 18, Elijah comes out of hiding and sets up a showdown with the prophets of Baal in front of the king and all of Israel. Now, the showdown is simple. Each of them will prepare a sacrifice to their respective god, but not set it on fire. Then each would have the opportunity to pray to their god for as long as it takes to get their god to light it up. Baal's prophets, all 400 of them, go first. Now, Baal worshippers believed that Baal was the god of the storm. They expected that they could get Baal to send a bolt of lightning to light up their sacrifice. So they prayed and they prayed and they chanted and they even started cutting themselves. And of course, no fire came. This brings me to the part I want to talk about. Verse 27 says, "And it came to pass at noon that Elijah mocked them and said, 'Cry aloud, for he is a god. Either he is talking, or he is pursuing, or he is in a journey, or peradventure he sleepeth and must be awakened.'" As these false prophets of a fake god went through their motions, Elijah made fun of them. He mocked them. He asked them if Baal was sleeping, if he was constipated, if he was away. Now, why would Elijah do this? He did this because their God wasn't real, and his God was. He did this because they were delusional, and it was performative. He didn't do it for the false prophet's sake. He did it for the audience's sake, so they could see how much of a phony Baal was. Now, in general, I don't like the idea of being mean. I don't mock anyone very often. I think in general, it's contrary to charity and the love that we're supposed to show as believers. But that's in general. There should be specific times when we have the boldness not just to call sin sin, but to mock it for the pitiful fake that it is. Elijah isn't our role model, but Jesus is. And as kind and sweet as Jesus was, Jesus wasn't afraid to publicly mock the Pharisees and even call them names like whitewashed graves and vipers. Why? Because the Pharisees were hurting people and turning people away from God. They were making false promises. Jesus didn't do it for the Pharisees' sake. He did it to expose them in front of everyone else. Now, today, the gods of this world aren't called Baal and Ashtaroth. They go by names like Hollywood, Washington, and Wall Street, and they still make promises that are just as empty. The people held up today as modern gods sure seem to have more than their fair share of divorce attorneys and rehab centers and suicides, don't they? The godless pursuit of pleasure, prosperity, and self-identity leaves people empty because those idols tell lies. And worse than all of that, they direct people away from the one true God who wants to give them more abundant life. Now, I'm not saying we should all go around mocking everyone who disagrees with us. But if a little bit of mockery exposes people who are leading others to hell and exposes their idols as the shams that they are, then the little bit of mockery might be the kindest thing that you can do. It might even be Christ-like.